The markets feel heavy today. Prices aren't moving fast, but that doesn't mean nothing is happening. Bitcoin is sitting on a level that has mattered multiple times before, and Ethereum is already reacting from a zone that historically doesn't get ignored. This is one of those moments where rushing does damage and waiting gives you clarity. This is Bitcoin on point. Let's walk through what price is doing right now. So Bitcoin didn't bounce aggressively. It also didn't break down. And that's exactly what makes this moment very important. We are sitting on a daily trend line that has already been respected multiple times. Price is tapping it again, slowly but carefully, and the next daily close matters more than what most people realize. At the same time, lower time frames are starting to line up in a way that could turn into something tradable, but nothing is confirmed yet. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through why this Bitcoin daily level cannot break, how Bitcoin's 4-hour and 2-hour are setting up structurally, and where I see a real trade idea forming on Ethereum's 4-hour time frame if price confirms. So stay with me because this is one of those sessions where patience decides the outcome. Now, a quick reminder before we dive deeper. I'm running a public $10,000 to $100,000 trading challenge. No forcing trades, no guessing. Everything is shared live. If a trade triggers, it goes straight into my free Telegram. Entries, exits, and management are all shared in real time, and the links are in the description. So smash that like button. Let's target 20 likes and subscribe. It helps more than you think, and it tells me you want more of these real-time market breakdowns. So let's just talk about what happened in the background. Tom Lee just said live on CNBC that Bitcoin goes parabolic once gold and silver take a break. Now that sounds dramatic, but historically this is nothing new. Every single time capital rotates out of traditional hedges, Bitcoin doesn't immediately move, but it loads up first. And at the same time, over 60% of US banks are preparing to offer Bitcoin access to everyday Americans. This isn't speculation anymore. This is infrastructure. Hundreds of millions of people who were never comfortable touching crypto before suddenly get a familiar on-ramp. And whilst most people are actually distracted by short-term price action, here's another part that's flying under the radar. China is on the verge of flipping the US as the largest Bitcoin holding nation despite a nationwide crypto ban. Read that again. Banned, but accumulating. So no, this macro doesn't tell us the direction today. So on that note, let's start with the Bitcoin daily because this is the anchor. There is a very clear black trend line here, and this trend line is not optional. From the origin of its move, price has already tapped this line twice before, and each time it held, and each time price eventually moved higher. And we're back here again. So price has been tapping this level for multiple days, and right now it's trying to stabilize just above it. It's very important because as long as Bitcoin does not close below this trend line, the broader structure is still bullish and very much alive. So what I want to see next is pretty simple, and that's a daily close above 91K. This would be the first real signal that buyers are stepping back in with intention. On the downside, I'm watching 82 to 80K as a zone that should not be lost if the structure is real and viable. But could the price wick below? Yes, we would allow it, but a daily close below the zone would be a major structural shift, so that's not something I'm assuming in advance. But right now, this is a decision point, not a prediction. Now, keeping the daily in mind, let's roll it over into the 4-hour, because this is where structure is starting to show some intent. Price is currently hovering near a support zone where demand has already stepped in before, and it's even touched into the deepest pockets of that support. So this matters because you can see price is slowly grinding upwards, moving towards the red trend line that I've been tracking. And this is important because this trend line is not an entry by itself. It's necessarily a reaction zone. If price comes into the trend line, breaks above it, holds above it, and then cleanly retests it, that's where a trade idea can form. If instead price rejects, then I wait. If the price chops, I also wait. So this level will tell us what to do, not the other way around. This is one of those moments where how price reacts matters more than where it actually is at the moment. So keeping that in mind, we'll now drop into the 2-hour time frame because the story is very clean. Price has respected the consolidation box almost perfectly. It dipped into the manipulation zone around 86K, exactly where the liquidity was sitting, and now price is starting to move higher off of that area. This doesn't mean distribution is confirmed yet, but it does mean the sequence is playing out logically. So what I'm watching next is, do we get real displacement candles, or do we see the follow through towards the buy side liquidity above? if that happens, 94.8k becomes a very natural upside magnet. Again, there's no rushing. This is structure unfolding, not a signal to jump in early. Now, a quick update on the trading challenge. The account is still green, no unnecessary trades taken, no emotional decisions. I'm not interested in trading every day. I'm interested in trading correctly. So if and when a setup confirms, it gets executed on weeks, tracked through profits precision, and shared live in the Telegram. No pressure, no obligations, just transparency. Now let's shift on to Ethereum. And on the daily, price has tapped into a very clean daily support zone, a zone that has produced strong reactions multiple times in the past. Now you can also see where price broke down from 2.9k with a strong bearish candle. This breakdown matters, but what matters more is what price does after reaching that support level. So right now, ETH is starting to stabilize, and historically, when Ethereum reacts from this type of daily support, the first thing we usually see is a push higher, sometimes slow, sometimes fast. I'm not trading the daily here. I'm using it to define the bias. So if price can reclaim and hold above 3k to 3.1k, buyers are clearly present again. If it fails, I don't force anything. Now, heading on to the 4 hour, it gets even more interesting because this is where the actual trade idea lives for this setup, because price has now entered into a support zone that hadn't been tapped before. Sell side liquidity has already been taken, so that's step one. But what's missing right now is confirmation. So I want to see strong bullish candles, a clear market structure shift, and a close above 3k or $3,050, which we've been covering for the past few videos. Now, if that happens, I'm not buying it immediately. I will wait for the move up, draw Fibonacci's from the lows to the highs, and then look for a retracement into the golden zone. So that's where the execution happens, not before. Until then, I stay patient. If ETH fails to reclaim those levels, this idea is invalid and I move on. There isn't any attachment. We don't force anything here. So our final thoughts. Bitcoin is sitting at a level that decides direction. Ethereum is reacting from support but hasn't confirmed yet. This isn't a moment for aggression. This is a moment for discipline. Price is close to making a decision, but when it does, that's when we're going to act. Until then, I'm just watching patiently. If you do want these real-time updates, trade confirmations, and full transparency, weeks for the executions, we've got everything in our free Telegram, and you can track it all on Profits Precision. All links are in the description. I'll see you in the next update.